Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Chicago Blackhawks franchise mode here in NHL 23. So in last episode, we had some draft day moves and we had the re-sign stage, and our team is starting to come together quite a bit, I'd say, because we had the first overall pick in last episode, which was kind of crazy that we were able to move up from number 6, was it, or number 5? Or maybe it was number 4. Anyways, we moved up a couple spots to get the number 1 pick, which was really funny considering that pick that we originally had that was a lottery pick was something we traded for. So we basically were able to finesse our way all the way to a first overall pick in this year's draft. And we ended up grabbing this Hawley guy. We have Hawley and Huxley now, which is kind of funny. But yeah, this Hawley guy, so I'm excited to see what he could do in his first season. Looks like he's going to be a very good goal scorer eventually. Like, him and Coburn should be the future of this team once like this series is fully over. Like, both of them will be, I guess by the end of the series will be like in their 20s, like 24, 25. So but I think these guys are just getting started at the NHL level. Coburn just won the Rookie of the Year. I think Hawley could easily do that this year if he's playing alongside the right players. So I think our team is definitely coming together. But is it too little too late? We will see. It's a good mix of younger guys now and also some veterans like Brossoit, Recchi, Vance, of course, and that type of thing. So who knows, maybe this team will be able to do better than the teams in the past. But anyways, before we get into free agency and also probably making a trade, I do have a couple comments to go over. So the first one is from Michael Dose, who says, great job on getting Hawley. Even though 1 cup, I love this series too. And I do appreciate that. I'm not I wouldn't say I hate the series, but I just don't like the lack of winning, because I think this team should have won more with the guys in their prime. Like Reefers, for example, only got the 1 Stanley Cup, but that guy used to be like a 90 overall almost, and he was playing alongside Vance for such a long time, and yet we still only got 1 cup. Like, I feel like we kind of just wasted his prime and a lot of players' prime and only got 1 Stanley Cup. That's why I'm kind of like, the series is kind of annoying in a sense. Like, we should have probably won at least another Stanley Cup, but to only win 1 is kind of frustrating. Also, I was asking Michael about what we should bring in for center since we lost Reefers to retirement. He says, I like that Buffalo Sabre center on the block. Also like Dylan, I think that's his name, as the backup goalie. Never played in the pros, but looks like a good backup and a solid price. So yeah, we'll get to that Buffalo center in a little bit. And also we will probably sign that backup goaltender since he's never played in the NHL. He's like an 83 overall, but he's never played an NHL game because I guess AI just stuffed him in the minors, which is kind of funny. And the last and final comment is from the Freedom Prime, who says, trade for Tokarski in Seattle. So there is a couple options for us to go over. I was looking at Tokarski in Seattle, and I'm not really liking his contract, so I'm probably not going to trade for him just because he's signed for 5 years at like $7 million. So I don't know if it would be something I want to do. But let's take a look at him first, because I think the Buffalo guy might make more sense since he's a pending free agent. But yeah, Tokarski's an 84 at 29, and you can see 5 years at 7.775, which is a bit steep for an 84. I mean, he does produce at a good level, which is nice, but like, I guess Seattle's just been a really streaky team the last 2 years. Like, look there, 68 points and drops to 57, and his plus minus goes from a plus 33 to a minus 5. So I feel like this guy's more like a third line center, just a power play kind of specialist. He was really good in the playoffs like a year ago, but I don't really know if Tokarski's the answer. And also with that like cap hit and stuff like that for the next little while, it might put us in a bad spot. So that's probably not why I don't want to take on him. But yeah, if he's maybe down to like 3 years left eventually and he's still out there, maybe we would bring him in at that stage, but not right now. And then Michael was saying the guy in Buffalo, which is the guy I think would make more sense for this team, and that is Kurt Bennett, I think. Carl Bennett. Kurt Bennett's the actual guy that played, I think, for the Atlanta Flames. I just think of all these players from my roster builds now. But Carl Bennett, former 6th overall pick of the Boston Bruins. This guy produces relatively on the same level, maybe even a little bit better as of recently. He's also really good on the power play too. Hasn't really had a long playoff run, it seems like, before. Only one, where he had 16 games. So this guy's never won a Stanley Cup before. He's only got 1 year left on his contract before he heads to the free agent market, or we bring him back. But I think this guy would be a great second line center behind Asher Vance. And he's got a little bit lower trade value, I think, too, than Tokarski. Maybe actually a little bit more trade value. But yeah, I think this guy would make more sense for us. So I am going to try and trade for him. I was looking at what other what options I'd have to give up to get Bennett, and it seems like they mostly want something focused around prospects. Which obviously there is one prospect there is one or two prospects I could give them. Those being Handzus or Boma. They both want both of them. I think I'm leaning towards Boma since Boma's already 21. Handzus is a young goaltender, so I'd rather run like Handzus and Marsh in the AHL. So I'll give them Boma in this trade just to give them a goaltender. And we will also give them a second round pick for next year if that wants to work. Because we don't have our second rounder for this year. I think that should hypothetically get it done. If they need a little bit more things, we'll probably add something else. But originally they wanted some other prospects instead of the second round pick. But I'd rather give up a pick than a prospect that might jump into our lineup next season or the season afterwards. So I'm trying to hold on to as much assets as possible technically. So Boma in a second for Bennett. Will that work? That's rejected. Okay. What if I throw in my third rounder for this year, and I could easily throw in my third rounder for next year too, because those are kind of picks that you don't usually hit on too much, but you hit sometimes. We could easily trade back to get some more of those picks, but let's see if this works. That's accepted. Okay. Boma a second and a third, and we have grabbed ourselves a second line center. So there we go. I think that was a good deal for us. Now our center depth should be much better in a sense. We have Vance, Bennett, and it would have probably Burish and Ziska. Martins probably would be back to the wing like he was like the last few years. I like that. That's a pretty solid move. Hopefully Bennett doesn't ask for too much money, and maybe we could re-sign him, but he is 30, so he might drop off soon enough, but you never know. So that's a great second line scoring addition. Now we need to bring in that goaltender, and there's also we need to bring in a top 6 defenseman, I think it was, or maybe it was a depth defender. Let me double check, because I know I was mentioning stuff in last episode. So we got 5 defensemen there. Yeah, technically we could bring in a 6th defenseman. One of these guys might make the jump, so I probably would rather grab a guy that's like a 78 overall at this point. And that way, if one of these guys gets jumped, they get put in the lineup, and then the 78 becomes a depth defenseman. If the 78 becomes the top 6 defenseman, it's a bit weak, but the rest of these 5 guys are really strong. So I'm okay with that, I think, for now. So we do have 2 pending UFA defensemen next offseason. So hopefully Brunstrom retires this season, technically, and hopefully Carter comes back for another year or 2. But yeah, let's find ourselves a goaltender, because we need a backup goaltender, and we need a top 6 defenseman. So we will probably bring in Dylan for sure, and we will probably bring ourselves in like a 78 overall defender. I just don't know who yet, because we didn't really look into that much. So Devin was the guy, 83 overall. See, he doesn't really want a whole lot of money. He's 25 years old. This is a backup goaltender. Never played an NHL game, but he's had let's see, 6 years in the AHL, or 5 years actually, I guess, because he was dealt in one of those years. But he has been really good every single one of those years in the AHL. So I'm hoping that he could be decent at the NHL level. So that's why we're going to give a shot to this guy. And we're going to give him the 2 years as well, because might as well lock up a backup on a couple years instead of just 1 year. So there we go on Devin. That way we have Devin maybe until the fact that Handzus is ready for the NHL, that type of thing. So Devin is good, and hopefully he signs that. And like I said, we'll probably bring in a 78 overall defenseman just to make it sure that we could use him as like a depth kind of role as well. The question is, who do we want to bring in? Lindback might be, oh man, that asking price though. $3 million for a 78 is actually kind of outrageous. I'm looking for somebody that's kind of like relatively cheap, but not too old either. Let me actually just go UFAs, make this a little bit more easier for us to see, because I don't want to sign any RFAs. I'm usually never the type to go after an RFA. Maybe I'll have to start doing that next year in franchise mode, just so that way we can kind of be a little bit more on edge in a sense. There is Lawton, who we just had. This is 77. Why do I recognize Binnock's name? Maybe I don't recognize him. It'd be good to probably get a good shutdown defenseman that's like right-handed if possible, but let's see. Cam Allen's a real player. I don't really like real players, to be honest. This Heinrich guy, I know he's asking for a decent amount. He is a right DFD, but he shoots a left. How's his plus minus in his career? Not very good. Not very good. What about Erat? He's 34 years old. Does fit our top pairing, apparently, which is nice, kind of. Okay, this guy's a bit better defensively. Nolan Erat. What were you asking for? 2.4. But he's 34. He's likely going to drop even more. That's the only risk about signing somebody that old. What about Bobrovsky here? 77. Not bad shot blocking and stick checking. The defensive awareness could use a little bit of work. His plus minus last year was pretty decent. Plus 11. Yeah, his plus minus is okay usually, it seems like, except for here where he was a -6. A little bit more aggressive, but I don't mind this guy. Yeah, I think Alexander Bobrovsky is who we're going to sign. He might honestly be only like a 77, but it gives us some extra depth. It's a bit high of an asking price for him, but it's just more of a safeguard in case any of our prospects that are jumping up don't jump up enough. I think one of them will. I'm not sure if it's going to be Forgon or the other guys, but I think one of them will jump up to being like a 78, 79, and we'll be able to use them on that top 6 pairing, and then Bobrovsky would be depth instead. So let's do that. And those are going to be our only signings, I think, this offseason, because we might as well keep the rest of the cap space in case we want to make trades at the deadline, that type of thing. So let's advance a few days and see if we get those guys in. Hopefully we do. We should be able to. Third and Bertram for a 4th and a 5th. I don't understand that trade. That's another one of those logics that make no sense, because how is Bertram negative value? Is it because he's got 1 year left? That's a really weird offer. Let's see. Devin is in, so there's our backup goaltender, and Bobrovsky has also accepted, which is nice. Shut up, AI. I do not care about your trade offers right now. So I think that should be good. Let's do we have any RFAs currently holding out? I don't remember if we do. No, we do not. Wow, that's like one of the first years that we've never had like RFAs like last into July, I think. Okay, let's begin the sim up to next season and ignore all these damn trade offers, because I do not care what they are offering. Except for, this is kind of funny, Kavanaugh, our former defenseman, they want to trade him to us. He's making $8.7 million, so damn, he must have developed into being a pretty good D-man. It's kind of funny when the game decides to try and offer you former players. Like, I swear that must be something in the logic, because I see that happen a lot where you just get offered guys that you used to have quite often. Like, remember like a few seasons ago we were getting offered like contracts like Frank Nazar's contract, and it was like, I don't really need Frank back. So it's pretty funny. But yeah, we're just going to reject all these offers at the moment. See, I think we just got offered Sanders too, which is hilarious. Oh, there's Tokarski, speaking of which, just because we are showing a little bit of interest in him. See, I wouldn't be willing to give up Hanzus and Benino to get Tokarski. It's a bit too much. It's a bit too much. Maybe eventually we'll go for Tokarski, but right now I don't see it as being a need. I think bringing in a guy that's more on a like a 1 year deal kind of makes sense. So Bennett, hopefully he does well as the second line center, because we will be using Vance as the top line center as we did last year. Because I think yeah, last year was Vance as the top line, Reefers as the second line center. So we're going to do that similar kind of style in a way to give us a little bit more depth at center. Because if we put if we put Vance on the wing and then Bennett as the top line center, our center depth goes down the tubes quite a bit. So might as well have a bit stronger guys down the middle. And hopefully Vance doesn't drop off too much to start the season. Like, hopefully he's not down to an exact top 9, because if he is, this could be his last season in the NHL, and we definitely do not want that. So I want him to still play till the end of the series if he possibly can, which hopefully he does. Hopefully he doesn't drop off too much. Like, if his overall is like an 86 as well, that would be kind of frustrating. But he should be able to still score relatively well as long as he's next to some good people, I'm guessing. Okay, let's make sure first that we have the right guys in the NHL. So let's go here to roster moves. See if there's anybody we need to call up in each position. So we already got our goalies for sure. Forgon's a 79. Bobrovsky's a 77. We only have 6 defensemen up here, so I am going to call up Fergone as that top 6 defender. Exactly what I was expecting. Bonino is also technically ready, but I think I'm going to give him a little tiny bit longer. If Fergone's struggling, I could always call up Bonino, that type of thing. So we'll call up Fergone to the NHL. Anybody else that needs to come up here? Not there. Not really there. Yeah, not really there either. These guys are depth kind of guys right now. Very close, though. Gustavo Brown is a depth option. Wouldn't be bad if I could call him up. Do I have enough roster space to bring him up? No, I do not. How about Fergone? I do have enough to bring Fergone up. Let me see who I have up here as depth options at the moment. Let's just go best lines in the NHL. Or AHL, my bad. And let's see. Brookbank needs to be in. Same with Fergone and Gustafsson. Man, we have a log jam of players here. A absolute log jam. Let's go. See. Yeah, that looks good actually. Not bad. Bernstrom is almost a top 6 defenseman, pretty much so. And we will put Fergone in here. Ooh, minus. I don't like that minus. Hopefully that's not actually real. Brookbank needs to definitely be in. We need to move Wharton to the top line because he's up there always. Bennett with Recchi and Coburn's an 86. Jeez, I love it. Hawley's a third liner is absolutely nice. Like, these two are going to be really good in the next few years. We'll do Bursch down the middle. We'll do Ziska down the middle. Martin's on the wing. Huxley up. Oh, man. Yeah, we have a bit too much players here. Bobrovsky and Gustafsson technically should be in. Like, if I take... yeah, I want Brookbank kind of in the lineup. I'm almost debating about trading away Huxley. How good has Huxley been? 17 goals last year. If I take him out and put in the rookie Brookbank instead. How good is their shooting categories combined? Let's see. Really good accuracy for Brookbank. Yeah, I feel like I should be playing Fred instead. And then Huxley. Oof. Man, this is tough. Huxley and Martins technically should be in the lineup, but there's not really a lot of room for them to get in. If I traded away both Huxley and Martins, I'd have to call up some depth, which I would call up probably Corbett and Brown. I could call up Corbett and Brown if I trade both those guys away, but it also makes us quite a bit weaker. I think these guys are going to lose morale, honestly, if I keep them as depth, but I might keep them as depth for a little bit of the first part of the season. Maybe I'll alternate every 10 games between Ziska, Zubris, and then Martins and Huxley. Or maybe not Ziska, maybe like Brookbank. Yeah, Brookbank and Zubris might get alternated with Martins and Huxley. Like every 10 games. Which might be tedious, but I want to try and keep them as happy as possible. If one of them starts losing morale, maybe we'll have to trade them away, but I really don't want to do that. At least at the moment. Yeah, it looks good. Let's take a look at the power play for a second here. Bennett, Brossoit, Vance on the point. That's good. I don't want Zubris being on the top unit. No offense to Zubris. We do want our youngsters in. Coburn should be on the top power play unit. And then we need to take... wow, Coburn wasn't even on the power play. Yikes. I don't get why this game does it sometimes. Yeah, I guess the rest of this is okay. Johnny Hawley gets his second unit. So we'll see how he does in that spot. That looks fine. We'll take Zubris off this one. And we'll put Coburn on this one. I don't know why Coburn wasn't on the power play, to be honest. What if I put Coburn at center here instead of Bursch and then take Bursch out and throw in Johnny Hawley? Yeah, it's not great, but whatever. I just want to make sure I get the best young players as possible in. Oh yeah, we had to look for a new head coach. I almost forgot about that. That's one thing we have to still look for. So this is what our lineup looks like with this coach. Let's take a look and see what else there is for coaches out there. I almost forgot about that, to be honest. I almost forgot about that, and we still got to assimilate like halfway through the season too. So this might be a little bit of a longer episode at this rate. Okay, so they did hire us some coaches, but is there somebody with a better fit than Renault? Renault is a 64%. Which is not too bad. Is there anybody above a 64 that would work with this team? Let's see. There's another 64. Oh, it's Joe Pavelski again. Another 64 in Nico Hischier. Doesn't really work well with our defenders, though. 65 in Robinson Siglet. Ooh. This guy, oh, that's with our AHL team, though. He's an AHL head coach. And I don't know. I don't know if we need to bring in another coach. Maybe we have our best option here. But we should still hire ourselves like an assistant coach. Let's hire this guy as an assistant coach for the AHL. And then we'll move him to maybe head coach, because he might be a better AHL head coach than we think. Let's give him that. And then let's see if we can find ourselves a solid assistant coach. And maybe one that we could use as a goalie coach. Because some of these guys had some good fits, so... Let's see, the 62% on Matthew Nave. We'll give him as the assistant coach because I don't want Pavelski back. Not yet. So you're going to be our assistant coach there, Matthew Nave, if you want to accept that. And then we need a goalie coach too, if possible. Which we could do Hischier, but eh. Ronnie Hay, he's also more of an AHL head coach. Yeah, I don't really know who we want to bring in as a goalie coach, to be honest. Maybe Cameron Boma. Yeah, we'll go with Cameron Boma as the goalie coach if he wants to accept some money. Hopefully these guys want to accept, because I want to have a good coaching staff if possible. So Boma and Matthew Nave. We'll see if those guys accept. And then we'll probably keep the same head coach at least. Boma accepts. And Siglet rejects, so he doesn't want to be in the AHL apparently. Matthew Nave also rejects. You don't like the size of our market? Well, Chicago is one of the biggest markets in the NHL right now. Come on. I know we haven't been winning Stanley Cups, but still. Let's try and get Matthew Nave in again, because at least I want to have an assistant coach. There he is, because he's not going to get a contract from anybody else, so let's try and give him some more money. Let's get him to like $1.5 million. He should accept that. And I'm going to try and get that other AHL coach still, because I want the AHL team to do well as well with all the young guys. Where is he again? Oh wait, he was one of these guys, right? Who was he again? What is his last name? Wasn't Stevenson? Whoa, 67. And oh, Suominen. That guy might be really good actually for the AHL. Let's do this dude instead then, since he's a 67. Might as well. There we go. Accept that contract. Do some stuff with the AHL, please. We just want that AHL team to assimilate good and the guys to get development and be ready for the NHL soon. And let's see. Matthew Nave accepts. So there's our assistant coach, and this guy does not want it. Oh wait, did I put him as an AHL head coach? I must have, but oh well, we'll leave the rest of that. Okay, let's see. Actually, let me take a look at who's the better option for the coach, the head coaching spot. Because right now we know Renault is the 64. If I demote him and move Aubin to head coach, 55. Yeah, definitely not Aubin. Definitely not him. It's not good enough. Matthew Nave, 62. So yeah, you're going to be our assistant coach, and you're going to be our head coach still there, Renault. And that is good to go, I think. 60% on course, so is the head coach in the AHL. Yeah, that's fine. We'll leave it. There we go. There's our coaching staff. A little bit updated. Let me just make sure that our defensive score is as good as possible still. I don't like that -2, really. But we might have to honestly just live with it. Yeah, I think we're going to just live with that -2. I mean, I could try and call up the other guy instead, but let's use Fergon because he's 22. So there we go on that front. And has Vance dropped off in potential? He did. Oh no. Oh no, this might be Vance's last season, or second last season. Because if he's dropped down to exact top 9, I mean, he could still drop down to like an exact AHL top 6, but that means this might be his last season, or very close to it. So let's hope for the best out of Asher Vance here, because or else he might not be the best all-time goal scorer in my history, at least, in franchise mode. Like, he still needs to catch Parrot, I think, at this rate. So, let's go to the end of the preseason and see how the preseason was. And then, like I said, I'll do probably halfway through the season, unless this team's just completely doing terrible or whatever. I'll probably just go to game 41. So, let's get this last preseason game done. And we did 4-3. Not bad. Not too bad. Vance led the team in points. Not really a surprise, because this guy always does. Okay, so let's get started with the season and see what happens. I wish kind of generative players became coaches a little bit more often, because if Vance retired and became a coach, that would be pretty dope. But it's always like the real players that become coaches. It's never generated guys, it seems like. So I should probably mention to EA to maybe do something about that, because it would be kind of neat to see like somebody like Asher Vance or Emil Reefers when he retired become a head coach, you know. So let's go to the end of October and see how we do in these first 7 games of the season. And hopefully we do decently enough that I can keep simulating. Yokel has already been injured. Well, that's not great. Let's go replace player and put in that depth defender, but that's not a great injury to have to start the year. And we lose 3 straight games after that. 3-4 in our first month. Not ideal. We are the worst team in our division as well. I mean, it's early on, but still, that's not great. That Yokel injury definitely hurt our team a little bit. Bennett's doing relatively well to start off so far. Nice, 7.7 games. How long still is Yokel out for? Not too long, okay. Hopefully, once he's back, our team starts winning again. That's the one thing. We have a little bit of a weakness on defense in a sense, but I hope that we do better than that. Let's just go a days so we can get Yokola back. There we go. Because I want Yokola back in. Yeah, I don't know if that -2 is a problem. Forgone dropped down to a 78, but he is still a top 6 defenseman. He has already scored his first NHL goal, but he is a -5 in 8 games. Eek. Maybe I want to do a different top 6 pairing then. Yikes. Jeez, man. Yeah, there's no way to get rid of that minus with Frogone. Does he go through waivers? He does not. There is a chance I could send him down this season again, depending on that plus minus if it gets much worse. Because maybe I go with Benino instead. You know what? I think I might honestly do that. Yeah, I think I'm going to send down Frogone. Give him one more year in the AHL. He doesn't really work this well with this head coach. Let's give Benino the chance instead. Even though Fragone's already scored his first NHL goal, let's do this instead. And see if Benino could be a bit better defensively there. I don't want to take a risk that he's going to be bad chemistry-wise there. Because I know Brunstrom's becoming more of a reliability soon, so. Oh, man, is that actually a -3? Because if nobody works that well with the top 6, that is problematic. Let's go best lines in the AHL. Perfect. Oh, it fixed itself. It actually is an even 0. That's good. That's much better than a -2 or whatever it was. So Benino is going to be the top 6 defenseman this year now. And Frogone should be up here soon enough. Dallas Bruce should be up here soon enough. There's a lot of guys in the AHL that could easily get into the NHL soon too, which is great. And we do got to alternate every 10 games. I almost forgot about that. So let's do another 2 games, and then we'll put in the guys that are scratched that technically shouldn't be. I just don't want people to lose morale, if possible. Back-to-back losses. We're 3-7. Actually, 3 straight losses, though. Yikes. Okay, we do not want to lose this much games early on here, boys. Let's take Ziska out briefly. Throw Martins in. And who was the other scratch that I didn't want to have scratched? Huxley. We have way too many snipers, kind of. Way too many. It is what it is, though. Let's swap Brookbank and Huxley, but let's try these guys out a little bit for 10 games. But we might have to make some changes if we're doing this well, or not this well right now. 3-7 in our first 10 is not ideal. Not ideal at all. Let's go to the next 10 games. There's 4, there's 7, there's 10 right there. See how we do. Hopefully we get back to 500 at least. We're winning more games than losing. That's a good sign. 8 and 9. Come on, boys. We're not going to be 500. We are going to be 9-11. I don't know what the heck this team is going through right now. Brissois is doing good, so yeah, the top line must be doing well enough. Let's go back to edit lines again. Take out those guys that were just in. Did Martins do okay there? -2. How was Ziska when he was in? -2. Let's go back to Ziska over Martins. Huxley was actually really good in those 10 games. And how good was the other guy that was there, which was Zubris? Not as good. Oh, man. I mean, I could scratch the youngster in Brookbank, but he's got 6 goals in 20 games. But he is a -6. He is still waiver eligible. I'm debating sending him down to the AHL for the rest of the season, or for a part of the season, and then just calling up somebody else that's like Corey or something like that. So at least we're getting playing time for him. Because I feel like we have too many snipers. I'm going to probably do that. Might be a bit weird to do that, but let's get Brookbank a little bit more time in the AHL. Give him a little conditioning stint, and we'll call up Corey as a depth guy, which means we'll be able to manage our ice time a little bit better, I think. So we'll get Zubris in here full time again. And then, yeah, Martins might be in and out of the lineup, to be honest. Let's go to power play 2 here. We will put in... Is Yokel on a unit? I want to make sure he's on a unit. Yeah, he is. Okay. Brunstrom could play with... not Kachuk. Kachuk's a DFD. With Kaupinen. There we go. Hopefully our team starts to win more games here. Not Kachuk. I want Kaupinen. At least we have a good young defensive core again. Like, we're kind of at that stage where we were, like, way back when we had a very young defensive core that was doing well. Let's go best lines down there. Perfect. Nobody scratched. Good. That is good for me. So, yeah, the only one in and out would be Martins, I think. There we go. Let's do another 10 games or so. 9-11. See if this team could start turning it around a bit. I just felt like we had too much snipers in our lineup, so I think eventually we'll have to move away somebody like a Huxley or whatever to get this team being a little bit more defensively oriented in a sense. So there's 4 games. That's 8 games. There's 10 games. Come on, boys. Let's get back above 500 if possible. There's a win and a loss. Because if we're going to lose to this many games, we're going to dig ourselves in a hole early on, which is not what we want. Okay, we're almost back to 500. There we go, 13-13. There we go. Now we're starting to win games. 17-13 all of a sudden. That's really good. We're starting to win. We're in a wild card spot. That's exactly what we needed. We're on now a... Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 game winning streak. So this is the lineup we should probably be running in that sense. Let's go to January the 1st and see where we're at in terms of 41 games. Actually, wait, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So it'd be Anaheim our last game, okay. And it will be at the exact halfway point, and we could take a look at some player stats and all that. Tampa's fired their head coach. There's a shootout loss, but it is a point. Curtis Coburn's been injured. That's not great. That's a pretty big blow. The youngster suffering a big injury in his 2nd season, and it's a concussion. Hopefully that's not a reoccurring thing. We're still on a point streak right now, which is great, but there we go. It ends to Toronto. That was a good month for us, though. 20-14-2. We are the 2nd best team in our division now. Let's do these last 5 games and take a look at some stats. Excited to see what this team's looking like point-wise. 22-16-3, so we're still sliding off a little bit, but we are at least in a playoff spot at the halfway point. Still a lot more regulation losses than I'd like, though, to be honest. And we have played the most games in our division, so that's a bit scary. That is a bit scary indeed. Let's take a look at our team stats and player stats so far for the season, see who's doing what. We'll also take a look at the trading block to see if there's anything we need to trade for. But so far, not too bad. A little bit of a slow start, but we're starting to find ourselves a bit. So let's actually just go Western Conference for a second. Yeah, we're in that 7th spot right now. So, I mean, it's pretty tight, this Western Conference. Like, we're only technically 5 points back of the Flames, who lead the division, or not the division, the conference. But we have, like, 3 more games played than them. That's the only thing. So hopefully that doesn't come back to bite us. But in terms of, like, goals for and stuff like that, where are we? New York's the best offensive team, I think, for the 2nd straight year. We're not doing too bad offensively. I like it. We're not doing too bad at all. Goals against, though. Ooh. Let's see. Where are we? It's actually not as bad as I was thinking, but it's still, like, mid-table. So it could still improve. It could definitely still improve. Power play percentage, also not the best, but it's still, like, mid-table. Maybe a little bit above mid-table. Our penalty kill has been pretty good, too. So everything's not doing too bad. Everything's, like, around mid-table or a little bit above it. So there is all that. We don't have a single short-handed goal this year, though, which is kind of a surprise. Let's take a look at these player stats. Brossoit's dropped down to an 86. Not ideal. Vance is still going ham. He's on pace for another 50-goal season. 39 points in 41 games only, though, for him. His production's dropped off a lot. He's down to an 88. Oh, man. Yeah, his offensive production's dropping off a lot. But the fact that he has 26 goals is nice. Like, he should be able to hit 52 goals at this point. But he's only have, like, 26 assists. So, yeah, this guy is definitely falling off a little bit. But hopefully he has a good, strong second half like he's done in his career in the past. How much goals is he up to now? 9-12. He honestly might have just passed Parrott already. He might have passed Parrott for the best all-time goal scorer. Carl Bennett so far has been pretty good. Wouldn't mind re-signing him if we can. Burrish has been pretty damn good, actually, this year. Props to him. Ziska's been solid. Martin's 3 assists in 19 games. Not ideal. Left wing wise, Coburn has been pretty good. He is injured, though, which sucks because he was doing really well considering this is his 2nd season only in the NHL. 16 goals, 28 points. Yeah, definitely was on pace to beat his last season totals, but now that he's been injured for a while, he might not, which kind of sucks. Wharton's been solid, 28 points, not as good as in prior years, which kind of sucks considering we just gave him a massive 7-year deal. Yikes. That might come back to bite me. Johnny Hawley in his 1st season, on pace for 20 goals. Not great, but I think he'll definitely improve with time. He is still only an 80 overall. Huxley's been okay, actually, as well. Huxley's actually been really good since being put in the lineup as a full-time player. And Gustafson's also got 15. Right wing-wise, Brossoit 40 points. He's been pretty solid, but once again, he's dropping off too. Recky's also dropped off in production a lot, which is okay, kind of, because he is a pending free agent, but he also could retire this year, which is kind of scary. Zuber's 12 points. So the depth scoring is not too bad. We're getting production from everywhere, it seems like, which is good. Defensively, Jokela has been really good, 30 points in 36 games. Obviously, he missed some due to injury. Bernstrom's been actually pretty solid, considering this might be his last year. Benino, since getting called up, has been really good. 10 points in 33 games. Yeah, I like that. See, that's why he was brought up instead of Fergon, I guess. Jacques also has 10 points. Carter has 10 points. Kalpinen has 7 points plus 10. And Bobrovsky has 3 points in 5 games as a depth defenseman. I like it. I like it. Not bad. And in the goaltending numbers, Devin's been really good as a backup. And he's jumped to an 84 overall. He's been a really good backup, though. And Tayupkin is still kind of struggling at the starting role. Yikes. Maybe Devin's the starting goalie of the future. Who knows? So there's that. Let's actually take a look at around the entire league as well for fun. Even though this episode's running a little bit long. Robichaux's leading the league right now. Cornette for the Islanders is up there. Sadikov for the Islanders. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Best goal scorer right now is Henderson in Colorado, who is the franchise guy that went a few years back. Yikes. Vance is up there, though, in goals. which is nice. Let's take a look at defensemen. It's Denisov right now leading, but Jokela is number 3, but he's like 10 points back, so Denisov's the best defenseman by far. Lidman seems to be the best goaltender at this stage, I think. Kubis, actually, maybe. This is very early, looks, but oh well. How about rookie of the year so far? Volchenkov. Okay. So there is that. Let's take a look at the trading block and see if there's anything that could help us out a little bit more if we really want to. I don't know what we would need necessarily because we got the depth. We could always try and trade away like somebody that we're not going to use and all that. Is there anybody though from the AHL that could get called up already at this point? Let's see. Well, there is Brookbank, obviously. Dallas Bruce has jumped to an 83 overall. So that's one thing that we could easily bring in. Dallas Bruce has great shooting. Holy crap. This guy's developed into being a machine. He was a 2nd round pick. So, yeah, maybe we want to call up Dallas Bruce in the next episode. That would definitely give us some good depth. If we called him up, I would say we probably would look to... we'd probably look to trade like Gustafson. Or something. I don't know. Because Coburn, when he comes back into the lineup, Martins will be out. So. I don't really know where I would slot him in is the problem right now. But yeah, Dallas Bruce is definitely ready. I was not expecting him to jump to an 83 within like the first few months of the season. So yeah, he would be probably the only guy that I would call up other than Brookbank and whatnot. But there is a lot of good competition in our AHL system, it seems like, to get to the NHL. Let's take a look at the trading block. Also take a look at the draft class briefly too, but let's take a look at the trading block in case there's anything we want to trade for. But I honestly don't think we want to trade. I think we want to promote from within because we got the prospects too, so might as well do that. But there is also options to trade for, I guess. But likely I don't think we'll go that route unless you guys actually have a good case for some reason going for a certain person on the block. But wow, Ron Torres signed a 7/12 with the Avs. Former goalie of ours. Crazy. Glad I didn't hold on to him too long because that asking price is, or that contract is high as shit. But yeah, hopefully we make the playoffs still because I think it's still kind of up in the air if we're going to be a playoff team or not. We need to have a really strong second half and we can't get on like kind of like a slide like we did at the beginning of the season because that could come back to bite us. Oh, wow. Wow, Richard Skula has dropped off a lot. He's 37 now. Wow. Yeah, this guy's dropped off a lot. Damn. That's crazy. Anything else out there intriguing? You gotta also think of with our cap situation because of who's up for renewal. So I would not want to bring in a guy on a multi-year deal necessarily. Unless there was some justification to doing that. Like if we were trading away a guy that has multiple years on our team. I think we will have a lot of cap space this offseason though, because there could be a lot of retirements. And also like guys like Recchi shouldn't be making as much as he is currently. So at least that's a positive. A lot of prospects on the block. Not that we need them, but still. Almost to the bottom. Wow. Toronto's got a ton of picks of other teams apparently. It's kind of interesting. A lot of random players there in Vancouver. Yeah, there's just a lot of prospects. There we go. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Chicago Blackhawks franchise mode. So in next episode, we might make some trades. Depends on what you guys think we should do, because I honestly don't think this team needs to make trades. I think we just need to kind of promote from, like I said, within. And obviously, we need to try and figure out where we want to slot certain guys in, because if we are to call up Dallas Bruce, where does he fit on this roster and who leaves this team? Because we could easily move somebody like Zubris, but I honestly have no idea if that's something we should do or not. So anything down below, and I'll see you guys next time.